Yo, what is good, y'all? What is good? It has been a while. I wish I had like those like sound cards that I can just like light up. It has been a while, my peoples. Let me get the chat on here. Yes. All of it. Cute. I love it. I love it. All right. Hold on, let me slightly lower this a little bit. Yes. Welcome back to the stream. It's your boy Thanya Bear, aka Natty, aka that nigga, and we are back at it again. And it's been about 2 weeks, actually a little over 2 weeks, I want to say, because the last stream was what, the 9th? Actually, not 2 weeks, under 2 weeks. It was 10 days, roughly about 10 days since we've last streamed, which is a pretty long time. And I bet y'all wondering, Natty, what have you been doing these past 10 days that could cause you to not be streaming? Life, amongst other things. We're actually going to review a lot of what I kind of was doing over the week. I kind of didn't really track stuff, which we may just blank over it, just skip a week. I'm not really murdering myself over it because, one, it was kind of like a self week for myself. I really needed the evenings to just lock in on some chat GPT tasks, especially some homework that Johnny gave me. But even more so than that, just really narrowing down, once again, like my focus and just making sure I was getting the things I need to get done, which luckily we'll get to it. But I was still able to keep my output of loops and, creative ideas. And if anything, this week, I'm going to be starting the final, the final week, I want to say. Let's see, if I were to go to, let's say, okay, so I have that hard drive. Hold up 1 second. I'm going through my hard drive to make sure I'm like not talking out of my booty-o. Yeah, no. As far as last week is concerned, we were at least able to get about 4 ideas out. Yeah. She don't love Simeon 2 plies. 3 ideas. So never mind. We knocked out 3 ideas. So we were 1 idea short as far as like our main goal for last week, which, to be honest, I'm once again still not like shooting myself over too bad. Because at the end of the day, I mean, we got about 6 weeks worth of content, or 6 months rather, worth of content batched up. And really we have, including this week, which this week will be week 12. And we'll start it on May 20. So yeah, starting this week, or today of this week, we will officially have a year's worth of samples that will be dropping on the YouTube channels one every week, which, that might not come as like the most craziest concept, especially if you're in the game, like at actually making music. I mean, 3 to 4 ideas, that's stuff you get done in a day. Like, it's not really, you know what I mean? It's not particularly impressive, but the main reason why this is important for us, for those of you who haven't been keeping up with the stream, it's your first time here, welcome. Well, hit a like for the boy, please. And also, follow us on the Discord. Get a part of the community. But now that I kind of have all this stuff prepared, I'll be able to at least drip feed consistently on my algorithms on the YouTube, which will give me samples to make content around. Because really, having this year's worth of samples ready, I'm still going to be putting the same amount of output. But after this week's worth of samples, it's all going to be community exclusives. So this whole entire year's worth of samples, that's going to be stuff we just give out to the public. People get to enjoy it, have fun. But now every sample that's made from here on after, we're going to drip feed it to y'all via my email list. And if you're on the Discord server, I'm debating on still having you still be on the email list. I'm like, the Discord server is more so, I'm trying to make it be like a gathering hole, if you will, for just like all the different people that are just kind of aligned with just stuff I care about, which is music, art, gaming, education, those type of topics. Genuinely, like, just that's what the Discord's for. The Discord is for, somewhat like-minded individuals. And to be honest, I'm not being so gatekeepy about it. I'm just having it be a place where, hey, if you mess with me, mess with my vibe, kind of what I got going on, then, that's where we can kind of hang out and discuss further. I would like for a place to have not constant conversation, but definitely a space to be like, hey, I need to ask somebody that's like knowledgeable in the creative realm about this creative opinion, or I just made something and I want someone's thoughts on it. I would love to have a healthy and thriving community where y'all can give tasteful and life-giving critique. But, there's always going to be some growing pains, I guess, with all of that stuff, especially just with building a fan base and a community at large. And I'm not particularly also going to shy away from the fact that, hey, our goal is to monetize. Like, my goal is to make money with it. And to be honest, it's also put y'all on game in terms of how to monetize your careers and your skill sets. So I definitely want to be a high utility, fully functional community where we're all educated, because I'm going to be giving assets to y'all that is only accessible in the Discord servers. And I'll figure out how to go about that in terms of like making it gated content just for the Discord server. But at the very least, I want the access to be there to where it's like I'm not particularly marketing it, or at least a good majority of the assets that's kind of in the community. And I might change my mind on this. I'm usually only a stickler when it comes to my art. Anything else is kind of just whatever, which can be a problem because even with my style and the branding, that's kind of been tricky. But I feel now we're kind of easing into something. We're kind of having somewhat of an aesthetic, so more manageable. But yeah, we are currently on the last week. This week we're technically having it the week of May 20, which if I just go over here, I'm gonna change the screen here so y'all could see. For those who don't know, this is our week pre-cap notes, which we do this thing almost every week, which last week we did not because, once again, life. I was just focusing and really locked in on other things and just wanted to have me time whenever I got back home. Granted, I didn't have fully me time because I was still like doing some GPT work and some back-end stuff, but overall, getting things done. So the last week we didn't do a full review on was the week of May 4. So Wednesday and Friday work on Household Life Set. We definitely knocked that out for sure. And then that Friday, which we had the show at Loadout Bar, was a success. Got paid the following Monday. Beautiful. Love you, Jason. Shout out to Tulips, the best venue in Fort Worth. Quote me on it. I did not go to Vaughn's show at the Texas Tea Room, which was unfortunate because, to be honest with you, I should have texted him, to be honest, because I told him I was going to pull up. Vaughn, if you're seeing this, it's on me. My social battery was not up to charge, and I should have let niggas know, but I just didn't even want to be honest, which I think is a pretty terrible thing, and y'all should definitely judge me for it. I don't think I'm above judgment in that sense. But yeah, no, that's what happened. And then work on guitar performance. We didn't do it as much, honestly, as I would have liked. Actually, let me make that orange. Definitely was working on cleaning up the riffs, though, so we did that for the thump riffs. And then for the etude, got some good news on that. But that one we didn't really do too much. Let's see here. And we're just going to, honestly, kind of carry all of these guys over because I already know it's going to happen for this guy, which it says May 11th, which is the week we missed, but it was really May 13, which I'll just put cool. Okay. All right. So gesture studies, we do not do any of these. Failing miserably, which we have a potential solution for these tasks that we keep on failing miserably at. Background studies, we did not. Actually, I did like one, but I'm not going to count that as a working thing. Let's Play series, we did get up to 8 episodes on Claire Obscure, which we could have gotten more last week, but once again, It was a me time, and a lot of that was actually me doing my own save file to get a little bit further in the game to, you know, catch a vibe. Let's see. We did stream Marvel Rivals. Actually, I don't even think we streamed Marvel Rivals, so yeah, we didn't really stream anything. Brand stuff. We didn't touch Greenhouse Media brand stuff. But we did get pictures back, so now I gotta really move the needle forward with this guy. So what I'm gonna do here, I'm gonna copy and paste everything over, but we're gonna color all of this, none, and then we're gonna do red for the drawing stuff. And then I'm gonna keep this clear because that's just brand stuff. I finished my lead magnet worksheet, which definitely did. But then, and then this we're gonna keep clear because that's just the goal. Which we're gonna adjust that actually here in a second. But yeah, we're gonna make this red. I'm gonna make all of this red. And then we're gonna make this orange because we did 3 instead of the 4 out of 5. And as far as last week is concerned, because to be honest with you, if I don't track these, I really be forgetting my days just because I'd be doing kind of the same thing over and over again, which is either if I'm not working on samples or I'm not recording the Let's Play episodes, I'm probably working towards figuring out the sales systems or putting something in the, names and contacts in the Excel sheet that's going to eventually be used by an AI agent to help us start tracking and emailing people. So a lot of stuff there, Ace Man working on Shrek Rave. So I mean that happened for sure. Which, by the way, for those who don't know what the Shrek Rave is, it's this really cool event thrown by I want to say it's a Live Nation event. You know what? Let's just Google it. Yeah, the Shrek Rave. Yeah, it's Shrek Rave. Cool is dead. Whoever comes have fun. Yeah. Silliest place on earth. This event series is pretty freaking fun. I believe Spaceman did a set. What's it called? House of Blues, I think, was the last one. For this, he did. My memory fails me. Point is, he's working on some fun edits for some up and coming dates for Shrek Rave, so that's been pretty exciting. And now, given all that, which we didn't get anything new on the episodes, and priority. All right, all of this is going to be red because we just did not touch anything. And now we're on the week of May 20. Okay, so now this upcoming Wednesday, which I want to say Wednesday, May 21st, we have a Westwood session, I believe, from 5 to 10, or really 5 to 9:30 if we're being honest, but because we'll probably be closing up by 10. So yeah, we got for like that boy Westwood from 5 to 9:30. Let's see. On Wednesday also, I have a good feeling we're going to, brother, and internet loves to hate me whenever I need it the most. All right, so we should have the Household Side A project distributed soon on this upcoming Wednesday, which we actually already have the single Closer. So for those who don't know, The Household is a project started by Spaceman and Piper Byers. Go check both of their Instagrams, and Spotify's out. Dope music. I got to work on some of them from both artists. They have a band together, which is The Household. I've had the luxury of doing some guitars and some vocal production on those projects, or records rather, which as of right now, I can at least let you know there's going to be 2 projects coming out, like compilations of music coming out this year for sure. And both will have about 4 songs on each side. So side A, we're gonna still get like some final details on it, but that's gonna be distributed by this Wednesday. And I mean, we got a lot of stuff happening if I think about it, because this is kind of the last kind of week before we have like a lot of shows coming up. Like I think the main one, like, because next Tuesday, which will be the 27th, that's going to be the drop for the single Closer that's off of side A. And that Friday and Thursday, I believe, actually I think that whole weekend, I think Spaceman might have some shows. I know for sure we have a Lady Love show on the 29th for Infinity Club, which that's going to be Boy Black, Rooney Tunes, Steven Carmona, Spaceman. I mean, we're talking just 4 hours of just dance music, just pure dance. Come through, please. We want to share amazing music with you. Oh, and music will be dropping that same night, midnight. So, I mean, what could you ask for? We're having a household single drop May 27, and we have Infinity Club project dropping that upcoming Friday / Thursday midnight, technically. Like, come on. It's magical. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. Fantastical. I'm running out of words, but you get the gist. And then technically today, which is a Tuesday, I have to meet with Jupiter. We were going to meet and do video shoots, but to be honest, I'm probably just going to keep him updated on just sort of what I've been doing, because, I mean, I always feel like we have plans to make content, and then I end up either flaking last minute or having cold feet because I want to do other things to make myself solidified, which I did something special this past Friday that I did not stream, but I did record. Screw it, I'm just gonna ruin it. So I recorded my first kind of like what I would call a room vlog, which, go figure, it's me in this room vlogging what I'm doing, aka it's the same thing as these streams, to be quite honest. I won't say it's not as entertaining, I would probably say, which, I mean, a nigga yapping for God knows hours just about the day-to-day of being a creative that's trying to make it in this industry. I mean, you tell me how entertaining that is to you. But in particular, this one particular room vlog, I think will be pretty valuable for some creatives, because I do a part of the process that is kind of scary and not typically recommended unless you're like really profitable, but also too kind of crucial if you want to protect yourself and have sort of a kind of your ducks in a row. And that's kind of all I'll say with regards to the vlog. Whenever I get the chance to edit it down, which that's kind of one of the things I'm going to want to talk with Jupiter about, because it's a lot of footage and, you know, it's going to be interesting to line everything up and get it right. But I am curious to see like if that's something that he would be open to help me with. But yeah, so that's we're gonna have a meeting some point today just to talk some things, figure things out. Let's see what else. Something is happening Saturday. Something is happening Saturday, and I can't remember right now, but something is happening Saturday. So yeah, well, that's, at least for right now, that's what we got on the docket. Now, when it comes to music, music. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna copy all of the tasks because we have some new goal updates actually, and I'm going to share them with y'all because it's important for me to be as transparent as I possibly can. Because somebody might be watching this and be like, how do I do this? How did he do this? Because I believe I'm going to be successful. Kind of cocky to think so, but hey, it's not the worst thing to believe in oneself delusionally. I'm just also trying to make sure I can prove it. You know what I'm saying? Like with some evidence. All right, let's go over there. We got that. Yeah, let me copy this over to 20. Right. None. And then let me get the Nathaniel Bear brand. I'm always gonna have this just for my sake, to constantly just have it as a reminder. Boom, 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 boom. 1 second as I'm getting this down. All right, and so what I'm gonna do here is put this as which, let's see, let's do some quick maths. 400 divided by 4 would be 100, so that's about 100 a week. And 100 divided by 6, it's about 17 a day. Okay, lovely. And then cool. All right, we're gonna go over this super quick, but first we're gonna go through the music tab. We're just gonna copy and paste kind of like all the other tasks. So for education, I would just copy these, boy. And luckily with the network Excel sheet, it's actually like, I think this week I'll have this guy done. So I'm gonna be pretty confident that I'm gonna get that guy done. I'm gonna use a new color that I normally don't use, yellow. So let's see there. So yeah, this week I really got to get these action steps going, and I really got to freaking go through those Sync Money briefs, because the Sync, there was what's it called? They always send the review, so that's definitely a task I'm going to take quite a bit more priority this week. Let's see what else. Let's transfer the gaming stuff over. Bam 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 bam. Birdie, let it shine, baby girl, you really try. I'm a diamond, baby girl, say a line, and the stars are in line. Tell me who you say you could even. I'm lighting, baby, yeah. Said you should it, baby, but you're tired of me. I'm really, baby, Brother, why are you being difficult right now, my nigga? I need you to work for me. Like, y'all don't see it because it doesn't show the lag on the screen for y'all, but my shit's lagging like a mud. All right, so let's start with the music. We're gonna start with the music for this week, because last week, as y'all noticed, not really anything got done. So this week we're picking up the pace. Now, I could already tell you we got to do some work. I hate this. All right, so we got to do some work on Fluffy and Playing God. So today definitely did some heavy lifting there. Now let's see. I won't say the third lick is donezo, but I mean, kind of. I'm not gonna lie, like the third lick isn't too bad. I just have to clean it up right now. As of May 20. Brother, thank you. Cool. So yeah, I mean, we're making good progress on the thump video. I honestly don't know how many are in the thump video, but I do know we're making good progress on it. Now, we have etude 4 down. Well, I won't say down, like I said earlier, but I do know it. So now it's kind of getting it clean, which to me, that's kind of like a life journey, low-key. It's really not. It's just a matter of putting just a bit more concerted effort, but now I'm really at the point where, like, by end of this week, I think we can, you know what I mean? I think we'll be able to really get from 1 to 4 pretty good, which for those who don't know, there's like this modern guitars technique book/masterclass made by Manuel Gardner Fernandez. And he's just know that he's a really phenomenal guitarist. Look up On Process Band or just literally his name. He's one of like the really dope kind of like leading forerunners of modern guitar, if you will, on Instagram and just in general, in my opinion. And I love his technique and his writing so much that when I found out that he had a course that was kind of like etudes based, which for those who don't know what etudes are, my personal interpretation of what they are is they're essentially they are technical, not always technical, but they're pieces that usually are made to focus on some nuanced aspect of like just technicality or musicianship. So like, for instance, let's say, what's it called? Let's say that you wanted to, hold up, I have to look at something on my chat. Let's say you wanted to learn like more about like tapping on guitar. So what you could do, and what would be typical, is you could compose a piece based on the style of tapping or the aspects of tapping that you want to incorporate on guitar, while still making it melodic with melodic phrasing, rhythmic phrasing, you know, do the things, make it feel musical. But the functional purpose of it is for you to implement this technique into your style of play. That's kind of like the function of etudes, if you will, or at least one of the main ones that they serve, especially in the classical genres. So once I found out that he was like, oh yeah, I made these etudes and they're supposed to help you get really good at these like techniques, which the way he has it kind of arranged is the first 7 are isolated kind of like exercise or focused on specific techniques. Like you'll have one where it's like predominantly like the Gato technique, and then another one where it's like just focusing on thumping technique, which is, you know, right hand technique predominantly. Let's see what else. It also has some chordal stuff, like just getting used to like just chord movements, and also like right hand in terms of like strumming patterns. Got some fun stuff for that. So all in all, some really cool stuff in there. And right now we're 4 etudes in, almost halfway. I have a good feeling by the end of this week we'll be halfway as far as the etudes are gone. And then you might even be able to get the 4th lick from the thump video for the Tosin Abasi tutorial video, which I don't know if I've already mentioned it on stream, but I used to have the original DVD that he did with Guitar Messenger, I think. or at least I believe it was Guitar Messenger, because it was like a DVD that they were advertising at the time. And, you know, Kid Natty, which honestly, there's not too much difference with Kid Natty and Adult Natty now to a degree. And so I never really took care of it. I used it. I want to say I ripped some of the footage, but I had it on an old laptop that I can't access the files. So either way, even though I got the DVD initially, I mean, I'm just resorting to this YouTube transcription, which, to be fair, the YouTube transcription, or what that video is, it doesn't go through some of the functional stuff he had on there, which I did remember from the DVD, because I went through, like, stupid me. I went through, like, the first couple minutes of it, and I realized that he was just kind of breaking down the tech. Like, once I figured out that he was, like, not going further on explaining how to, like, do the up part of thumping, which is, like, in thumping, you have to, like, with a thumb, which you would identify as P for whatever reason instead of T. There's like this double kind of like, I don't even know, Manuel has a term for it. It's like almost like a double thump, where it's like you strike the thumb down. So in this case, we're doing the low E string. So it's like you're striking the thumb down, and then like you land on the next string. So if we're trying to hit low E, you strike it, but then you kind of rest on the next string, and then you kind of lift up, and that also counts as like a pluck as well. So it's like this kind of sort of kind of situation goes on there. So yeah, that video doesn't have like some of those exercises, but it goes into like the creative lick ideas that he has on the DVD. So that's pretty cool. And to my knowledge, I don't even know if they're all of those ideas either. It just seems to be the ones that he just made for that video. And then we haven't gotten to the loops yet for the week, which, to be honest, that's probably going to be tomorrow, whenever we get some chance tomorrow. And let's see, this week we won't be touching vocals at all for A, Hand Over My Heart, or Shelf Life, which the instrumental you are currently listening to right now is the instrumental for Hand Over My Heart. Now, here's what I can do. If we're able to hit 30 followers, hear me clearly, if we're able to hit 30 followers, I'm going to repeat myself again, hear me clearly, y'all. If we can hit 30 followers by, let's see, we're still on the 20th, the month ends in about, what, 9 to 11 days, give or take? We got 9-11 days to get up to 30 followers, which right now we're at 23, which means we need 8. Don't know how it's going to happen. Have no clue. I have no clue. 0 clue. But if it happens, you will tempt me to put the instrumental version of Hand Over My Heart on streaming platforms and on YouTube, which will force me to come up with a quick cover art, which I do not like. So put me on blast. Force me to be creative, so that way I can get something magical to y'all. But yeah, just know that that's a thing that can happen if y'all really, really want it to. So, but outside of that though, vocals not done for both of these records. I definitely need to find the stems for Cowboy, which if I don't, that's gonna suck for Bogus. And then Master Iconic with a new Vox. I've been avoiding this like the plague. I don't know why, even though like I know we recorded that new vocal, I just can't find it. Or at least the mix version, I can't find it. Let's see, workshop ideas for a new brand and idea. I should be able to do this on Thursday too, to be honest. Now this brand stuff, Thanyard brand, this is really for me. This is more so me keeping track of like the type of content I'm going to be putting on the channel. Like my main channel will be talking here videos, official audio, reactions, educational content, let's plays, and music videos. Now this is the big boy. This is the main kahuna I kind of wanted to talk with y'all about. So today I just got off a call with Johnny, who has been my coach, just kind of helping me focus in on just a lot of the creative stuff I want to get done with the Thanyard brand and all the fixings with it. And he's going to actually be launching his services to the public for some of y'all, or at least a curated few. So for those that are curious on having some level of mentorship in their creative work, I'll consider going to Colorful Sound Studio, checking that out, and staying tuned on all the happenings there. But as I was saying, as you can see, our goal that we are working towards as the Thanyard community, as those who are in support and want to grow this thing that I'm trying to build, this vision, this art, this fun shit, if you will. We're looking at 16 new clients a month, which in order to hit that goal, initially I thought we'd have to do this number per week. But apparently if we reach out to 400 leads a month, which narrowly gets us down about 100 leads per week, which leads out to 17 leads per day. And what I mean with leads, whenever I say that, I'm not meaning that necessarily the traditional sense of leads, but more so in that I am reaching out to 17 unique persons, people that are very specifically attached to or would be the audience for what it is I'm doing and offering kind of with my offers, which I have some lead magnet offers that I have kind of prepared, which I'm pretty excited for. I'm pretty expectant on, and in general, just it's a lot of new stuff that I'm just kind of preparing to step into in terms of my business career with my brand and just marketing my services more, being more public about what I do and how I go about it. Because normally I used to just kind of just be silent and just kind of like put my head down and work and get my craft up. But now it's kind of at the point where I got to not shut up and talk a lot about it. So be prepared to be annoyed by me, and I do not mind it. And if you do, that is unfortunate because I'm doing this to take care of my loved ones and create a new way of life. So this is what it is in that sense. Now, given that I'll be reaching out to 17 leads a day, that's going to sort of be my personal... That's going to be kind of like my personal goal to me, my personal sort of personal checklist to myself to be like, hey, did you work today? Did you at least do this? Reaching out to 7 leads a day, unique leads a day will be the main thing. And like, Natty, how are you going to be doing this? We're going to be using Gary V's, I think it's like 2-cent strategy. It's either 2-cent strategy or like 20-cent strategy. Yeah, we're definitely going to be using that. And obviously GPT is going to kind of help us with sort of how to implement that. And the goal with reaching this amount of new clients a month would roughly be, because like, even though it's $300 per mix or $50 per master, me and Johnny kind of did some crunching in between. Like, really the mixes can be anywhere from $300 to like $250, and then the master's like $50. So we just kind of rounded it around like $260 per client, give or take. And if we're able to get those 60 new clients at that $260 kind of price point, we would roughly be at $4K a month. But that's the financial goal. So we're just trying to hit $4K a month. If I can hit that with what this is, life-changing money. For some of y'all, you'd be like, dude, life-changing money? What are you doing? How are you living life? How are you even surviving? By the grace of God, Brody. By the grace of God. But yeah, no, that's literally all I would need just as a solo human being. Taking care of his things, and eventually that'll scale to like 10K is what I would want. But for me right now, 4K is kind of the monthly goal. And to be honest, first month might not even hit 16, we might hit like 2 or 3. But the goal is that if we hit 17 leads a day, 17, just 17 unique new leads a day, we will in fact, reach the goal. At least that's the thought, that's the plan anyway. So yeah, I'm just going to kind of be, and I'm also going to kind of be building in my pipeline and sort of optimizing things as I'm doing this. Just because right now with Daniel Bear, I'm getting more clarity. Like for instance, as far as what I'm going to be marketing to the public, I'm a sample maker by trade. I produce, I can engineer, I can songwrite, I can advise on management and whatnot with an artist. I'm a business end to a degree. But at the end of the day, what I do best and enjoy the most and would do if no one told me to do anything, it'd be to make samples. I love samples. I don't particularly make songs, but if I make a really fun sample, I am almost always going to make a fun song idea or beat idea out of that sample because that sample kind of got me going. Which, I mean, that's what happened kind of with Hand Over My Heart, to be honest. I was just kind of vibing some guitar chords and then, just kind of made this idea, which... It's weird drums, not particularly like, not particularly dope drums compared to some, which I may retouch up the drums whenever I make the final version of the record, but I enjoy it. I like it a lot. Gets me feeling amazing, gets me feeling a certain way. So yeah, needless to say, those are going to be the goals that we're working towards for the Fanya Bear brand. Obviously, all the other stuff like playing guitar, working on the guitar technique, making the samples, making the loops, obviously getting the day-to-day tasks like mastering Iconic with the new vocals, workshopping some ideas for Brandon Says, and finding those stems, like this stuff right here is just keeping up the chops, if you will. And then this is sort of like favors that I really need to get done, or work for myself that I need to get done, and I'm having certain things kind of get in the way of that. Understandably so, because they're not crazy high priority right now. This, however, is. So I need to just implement this workflow into my day-to-day. And I've been looking at this guy, Motion. Pretty interesting tool. It's like an AI sort of task manager, planner sort of deal. And right now, we've kind of been tracking everything on Google Docs on this document. Just sort of like our own means of just like kind of keeping up with stuff. And I really want to take it to the next level and have see what an AI workflow looks like. It's just integrating that to kind of what I do. So yeah, that's gonna be exciting, and I'm gonna kind of do that. I would normally want to do that on stream, but I'm gonna do that off stream because it's gonna be a lot of just testing. And to me, the nature of testing and prompting, I would prefer to not share that just yet. Although I say that now, but in my first room vlog episode, I'm literally doing that. So if anything, I'll just I'll be sparing with how much I share, not because I'm trying to gatekeep it, but it's like, it's a very haphazard and me way of doing it, and I don't know if that's valuable or not, and I have a feeling it is, and so I'd want to share that with like my intimate community if I did. That being said, what I did for the YouTube video is a high value video that I'm hoping that will generate goodwill, and I will be having like free offerings that I sort of advertise in those videos too, so be on the look for that. I'm always going to try to be generating information products that can add value to y'all's lives, if you will. So just anytime I do a talking head video, expect either a new information product in exchange for like y'all's emails to like get on the email list for me to send you those exclusive samples, or you just kind of wait till they come out on the YouTube page, like weeks or months even after the fact. But yeah, no, that's the beauty of having my own samples. Like, people can just flip them infinitely and make as many ideas as they want from them. Which I personally enjoy that aspect of it. All right, with the art, which draws something that makes me cry. That's always going to be red. That's just kind of like a personal reminder. I definitely do want to transfer this over to that Motion document soon. Now, this week, I haven't recorded a second episode for Pal World, which another thing, too, I've been kind of curious, or not curious, but I've kind of been interested in getting, is a green screen. Now, the main reason why, I kind of like how Tony Stadavici, and there's this other guy that's been doing Expedition 33, like a Let's Play for Expedition 33, and I've just been liking how their setup looks like, and it's literally just, green screen and then just this thing, them and a mic. So until I get that green screen set up, we're going to have no webcam, or at least our Let's Plays are going to be no webcams. However, I really do want to implement that. Like the Kingdom Hearts 1 Let's Play that I started in March, that has webcam in it, and I just want to take it to the next level with having like that green screen aspect of it. Which I am curious. No, I'm not going to do it because I don't actually have a green screen, but the idea will be to have a way to hang up kind of like a green screen behind me. Which we're going to look up some ways how to do that. If anything, I might even Google that on stream here today, but that's just something just to let y'all know. Let's Play episodes this week. My goal is to add about at least 8 more new episodes for Claire Obscure. To be honest, if we record Wednesday night, Thursday night, and technically tonight as well, like tonight might not be the longest of streams, but if we sort of record tonight, Wednesday night, and Thursday night, there's a very good chance, very, very good chance that we'll be able to hit 20 episodes, which once we hit 20 episodes, we get into the editing mode. And my goal is just to grind out those 20 episodes, because what we're probably going to do is do 1 episode a week. Ideally, it would be like 1 episode a day, but I mean, I would be running out of content in like a month. Can't do that. And like, keep in mind, I just told y'all I have roughly about a week's worth of samples to just kind of drip feed per month, or for almost a year, right? So let's say I backlog a year's worth of official audios, right? Cool. I got samples coming out for a year, just automated with the description, tags, all the things, right? Awesome. Let's say I got that. Well, then on top of that, what if I also have a Let's Play dropping that week as well? So now on top of a sample dropping per week, we have a Let's Play episode dropping per week. And then depending on whether or not the Let's Play episode drops or not, we can also have a talking head video dropping that week. Because let's say I write a script on something I'm really passionate about and I want to make a video essay on it and then get that to y'all and edit it in such a way to where y'all can enjoy it and it's entertaining enough, right? So then eventually I'll be able to kind of inject those organically in between the Let's Play episodes and the samples. And hey, reaction content. Let's say a new trailer drops, video game drops, and I want to react to it. Or One Piece chapter drops, which you know we're going to be reacting to One Piece chapters. And if anything, I'm probably going to do live reactions to One Piece chapters, which I'm really going to have to figure out the rhythm of how I read it and make it more engaging, because every time I go to edit a One Piece reaction video, I'm just like, Natty, nigga, like, be yourself. You know what I mean? Which now it's easy. Like, since starting streaming truly consistently for this specific page since like December, even though really I've been streaming since last summer, but like really targeted focus just on kind of like my brand and just streaming. I've been doing it since December, and it's not going to be a year till this end of this year, December. But I want to say about a month ago, I started getting into somewhat of a rhythm of who I am and how, not even who I am, but like, I know who I am, or I'm aware of most of myself. I'm always learning more, and it's annoying. But in lieu of that, I am now capable to be how I would be in existence outside of this camera internet world to y'all, if that makes sense. It's a weird thing. It's just this whole streaming and kind of recording oneself and just talking to a camera. You kind of got to get over the absurdity of it a little bit, and then once you get past the absurdity of all that, then you're like, oh, okay, now I can be me. Now we can have a conversation as if you were talking to me in real life, which, as you will learn, is relatively annoying and somewhat mentally tasking, because I don't explain a lot of what I mean sometimes. I just kind of hope that you understand the references that I drop, and then if you don't, you better talk in the comments. Better let me know in chat. You dig? Because if you don't, what are we doing here? But anyway, we're getting sidetracked. I plan on getting a green screen so that way I could actually put a webcam on my Let's Plays, because it would seem, even though I want to do the faceless, kind of route, which here's the thing. I'm also entertaining doing like Final Fantasy style or Persona style like head cards, and then like having, having captions, or at the very least the kind of face talk. Sort of like anime-esque vibes, and then depending on my emotion or the certain scene, change animation. I have considered that to where I don't have to do as many crazy edits, and rather it's more of like a character that I have on the screen that's kind of like reacting to stuff, and then during cutscenes, you kind of just get to just see the cutscene for what it is. Yeah, no, I've considered that. Granted, if I did it, it wouldn't be color. It would be like sketch based, and it would kind of be like, I don't know, it would be based on some other creators' like works, because making something directly from scratch for myself, especially right now, a little tricky, not impossible, just tricky. So yeah, no, that's something I'm also considering for the Let's Plays, but at the very least, if I can't do that, which would require more of my creative skill, I would like to see if we can do a green screen to where, at the very least with the Marvel Rivals content, like the Marvel Rivals ranked content, which that's not necessarily a Let's Play series, although kind of is if we think about it. Honestly, it kind of is. So I'm going to say Marvel Rivals ranked gauntlet. And then we're going to do what? This is season 2. Season 2 episodes. I think I have 1 episode recorded as of, I want to say like May 20, because I have more Marvel Rivals Ranked Gauntlet episodes, but especially for like season 2. But I want to say for season 2, even though I have more, I'm probably only going to advertise the most latest one I did, which was like a 3-2 run. And then, not even, I think the last one, I mean the one I did even after that wasn't even all that great. So I think if I ever win, that's going to count as an episode that we got coming out. If I don't, however, you might see it on my second channel, which if you didn't know I have a second channel, I have a second channel called Daniel Bear Plays. It's where I put all of the VODs, because at some point Twitch is going to delete them, and I want you guys to have them infinitely. But keep in mind, these are unedited, raw. I mean, I am not editing anything on these at all. I should, but I don't. So enjoy. Yeah. Now, as far as streaming live this week, I have a good feeling we're going to be streaming Marvel Rivals this week, and One Piece is back this week. We had a break week last week, so I lucked out in not doing anything, which honestly, that's probably what happened last week. You know what? We're gonna change the narrative right now. Last week it wasn't live. There was no One Piece, and since there was no One Piece, you get no natty. Anyway, I'm kidding. But yeah, this week we got new One Piece. It's going to be chapter 1149, I believe. And according to spoilery sources, it's a goodie. So this upcoming Thursday, before we get into the recording of more Claire Obscure, we're definitely going to do that. And then on the greenhouse tip, we just got the photo shoot pictures back, which I am excited about, because now that gives me full credence to start working on the UI UX for the new website. I've kind of been holding off, and y'all notice this has been orange for a very long time. Now it's not going to be, and I'm very excited about it, because it's going to be a new step into what Greenhouse has got coming in the future. And you know, long story short, we're going to be becoming a publishing company, but not just a publishing company. We'll be operating as a production company. Excuse me. Wow, we're going to be operating as a production label, and also as a publishing company. So let's say you're looking for label services, like you need an electronic press kit made for yourself, or you need a brand book worked on, or you need mixing and mastering services, or you need a songwriting help, or production services. The list is varied. Even help with getting graphic designers and creatives to get designs for your work. You need help with sourcing all of that. Greenhouse is going to be the place to do it. Greenhouse Media Group. Remember the name, guys. This is something I'm very passionate about. Been working at it with my team of homies for a while now. What started off as 3 people now is looking like a team of 7. 7 or 8. Yeah, team of 7, I want to say. And I mean, just the sky is the limit. I mean, the universe is the limit, to be honest with you, what we got planned and what we got going on. We want to get into our own creative IP, but in order to do that, we got to create a nest egg. We got to create value in the market, which we're going to definitely tackle sync licensing for sure. That's going to kind of be the first thing we do. But yeah, no, it's just going to be fun. We're going to really build this thing out as a team. I'm excited to work the pitch deck and really get something special going. Yeah, it's just going to be great. I just know it will be. God's going to bless it. And right now, the main task has been finishing this Excel sheet, like our network Excel sheet, which luckily, our network Excel sheet, an aspect of growing it is going to be from my work in terms of getting that 17 leads a day. And for me, what that's going to look like is inputting those 17 leads into that Excel spreadsheet and just getting some work done, just getting some magic done. So where us and the team can really just reach out, scale out, and do awesome things, because we already got the household, we got Spaceman, and then we're gonna have Thania Bear dropping, because fun fact, I'm also gonna be dropping my samples on Spotify too, because my goal is to make sure it's like I really show people my capability and my just what I find passionate, what I think is awesome and what I love, and share it with y'all so you all have it and y'all can play it on loop if you enjoy. And for those of you who want to write to it, it'll be on YouTube. I'll also put the stems on YouTube as well. Granted, if you really want to get the stems to where you can chop it up a bit better to where I don't have to worry about dragging stuff around, I would recommend going through the link in the description once I get all that set up. But I mean, it's really up. Like, once this Excel sheet is made, I'm going to concurrently be doing the Excel sheet and making the outline for the new website. Because let's say that once the Excel sheet gets done, it's going to be moved to the same system that I'm building to kind of get my lead generation going for Thania Bear, right? So check it. I get that going. Then the next focus is going to be the content strategy for Greenhouse and getting what I had a year's content prepped for Thania Bear with the official audio. Once all that's pre-prepared and uploaded and just scheduled, then the pressure's off on Thania Bear, because I know at least I have a year's worth of YouTube content that's constantly going to be coming out, and I'll just have to proliferate my calendar based off of those videos and those pieces of content. And in doing so with Thania Bear, doing that, next thing is going to be doing that with Greenhouse. And luckily with Greenhouse, I have an entire course load to kind of reference in terms of the content campaigns to do and the content strategy to do. And even more so with that, I can repurpose all the other viral educational niches that I've been picking up and stocking up as green screen footage. So, I mean, that's going to be awesome. I won't have to worry about that too much. Let's see what else. And then I have spec ad campaigns, which this is going to be sort of like the big vision with the team, where it's like, hey, if we work with Nike, what would that look like, feel like, sound like? Let's make it, and then kind of go from there. So that's going to be exciting. Let's see. That's kind of all the stuff for the week, honestly, and it's quite a bit. Honestly, what I'll put here on task 2, just because it's kind of like important in regards to the goal, at least the brand. Let's see, is it with music? It's kind of with admin more so I'll kind of put it in the Greenhouse, but let me not make it yellow though. I'm gonna make it none, and then I'm not gonna make it any of those. Move contact data to AI workflow, which is either going to be Motion or Notion, ironically enough. And then look for, what was it? Online management system, MySQL is a start. So an OMS, or an online managed database, ODMS, I think it was online database management system. And the main thing for that is we're going to be dealing with a lot of contacts and very sensitive information of people, and we're going to want to have it encrypted and protected, so that way, one, it's not one of those things that it's like, you know, people's information is getting taken because we didn't do a good job of protecting it. So that's something I got to look into as well, because that's kind of a serious thing in the techie world we live in. But yeah, all in all though, I feel pretty confident about what we got for this week. I feel like we're going to get a lot done. We're going to get a lot done this week, and it's going to carry over into this upcoming week. And that's really going to snowball into some very, very lucrative opportunities. That's going to not only free up more time for me, the boy, but just make more opportunities for the team. And that makes things exciting for me, honestly speaking. I'm very excited for that. But yeah, that kind of wraps it up for the recap notes. Now, I'm going to keep this Excel sheet over here because I'm actually going to be working on that here in a second. But what I'm going to do here, actually, even better yet, I'm going to have this video up, but I'm going to be right back. I'm going to go use the restroom, and I'll be right back. I'll be right And we're back. All right. So let's pause this guy, or rather mute this guy. And now we got this video that I have here uploaded, because I did say we're going to react to some content. Now, it's a longer video. It's a 20-minute video. Are we going to watch all 20 minutes? Maybe, maybe not. Can't be for certain. But what I can say is the topic got me interested, which is how this horrible artist proved anatomy isn't important. And for those of you that didn't know, I'm studying anatomy and background studies currently at the moment. And it's proven a challenge. But as anything that, you're learning for the first time, and not even just for this time, but you try to learn the fundamentals the proper way, all that kind of stuff. It's just good to hear other artists who've kind of, excuse me. Whew, it's a little late. But, it's just learning from other artists that have kind of gone through the path, figured out their own answers, and just listening and understanding, educating, and seeing what applies and what doesn't. It's kind of what I do with every skill set I learn, to be honest. And this one stuck out, so let's see the vibes.
What we're going to go through is something that I'm going to affectionately be calling the Hall of Shame. That might have like a negative connotation, but I certainly don't intend it to have. It's kind of a little bit more catchy, I guess.
Which, by the way, I apologize for that noise. That is the AC. I need it.
On campus
Deal with it.
And university, and trying to keep a student's level of interest in an end goal. There's quite the slog to learning anatomy and construction and perspective, and it could feel kind of labor intensive. So it's always good to kind of keep that end goal in mind of what you might want to be doing. So let's say what we're looking at in something like this would be, like the appreciation of style. To appreciate it fully, right? As something that we would maybe want to take from, learn, do ourselves, and other.
First of all, what's up with homegirl's back, bro? This is dead ass an hour. Like, there's gotta be like osteoporosis or something going on here. Like, how this horrible artist proved anatomy is important. I get the gist. Don't get it twisted, baby. Like, I understand what I'm encountering right now, but like, hey, women in chat, y'all let me know. Am I not what? That's wild. It's wild. Anyway, all right. You're good. Hold on. Let me unmute that.
With how other people are working in the most generous of terms. So what is style, right? And this is every class I get asked this. Teach gesture. How do I finish it? Teach anatomy. How do I render it? But people always want to be leaning towards the end goal. I've started with one of my favorite artists. I grew up reading the Image comic group as they were working at Marvel and other places. So I grew up on Rob Liefeld. I grew up on Todd McFarlane. I grew up on Mark Silvestri. Go down the list, right? And I think that's an important historical moment in comics. Right? There's a ton there to celebrate for what, not just the...
I've recently come to learn that a lot of founders and marketers don't quite know how to look up the competitors' marketing strategies. I personally like using this with the startups that I work with.
Cute.
The content they created, but what they did in terms of developing a space for artists to work outside of the two big comic companies. But I also see it as a moment of stylistic change, right? So I think of early comics as exhibiting tendencies that are more toward the classical, right? Order, proportion, a certain conservatism of the overall proportions of the body and how it's treated. The early comic bodies felt statuesque and kind of posed in a way that kept a universal harmony to the body, the proportion of the frame and composition. Whereas these artists to me felt more Baroque, which is, more characteristic of excess, detail, a labyrinthine type of visual engagement. It's not that anything is bad or good, right? That's what I dislike about the conversations around these artists. Like, I think Rob Liefeld maybe gets it the worst, right? It's blogs devoted to, how bad his covers are. Okay, right? So we get it, right? Maybe they don't look proportioned. So that stuff to me just seems like I belong to the club, right? Like, I get that it's wrong, or I get that it doesn't look right. Okay, boring, right? So, but what's really going on? How can we think about it? How can we analyze it, break it down for things that are happening, and then use those as opportunities to think about decision making, right? What if this is something that you want to do, right? This is a way that you could treat any of your favorite artists, is to go in and look critically about the choices that they're making. We get it, right? little fee proportion might be off. Let's move on. Let's see what we can figure out that might be a little bit more interesting than just maybe signaling to the rest of the community that you also know that the feet are small, or it doesn't add much. We get it. Maybe your top 10 covers are a little different than the other. I think this is a more engaging way to look at it. What if this is a Baroque period in comics in which excess, visual ornamentation, and the purposeful distortion of the figure takes precedence as opposed to the correct quote-unquote anatomy? And this is coming from a guy that just teaches correct anatomy to people. Let's take a look at this, right? And this is something that you could tell me if you like, or if this is something that you think is useful.
Interesting.
Or if this is
I'm very
something
curious
that
to see what he does
you
here.
might want to share some imagery to that might help me kind of think about stuff that you would like to see broken down. But this would be my beginning, right? I would identify a
Already, I like this, so we're gonna
component.
like
How do I
just
frame
give him a
this,
like.
right? And you could see this, like, it doesn't just have to be that this is the 1600s and, you know, like, it's not like that. These are ways or filters that you can look at broader movements, or more
Okay.
specific movements. Like when I was a kid, they used to have a t-shirt at a store called Urban Outfitters.
Hey.
Because I don't go outside my home or shop at all anymore. I don't even know if it still exists. It used to
does.
have the old
It does.
Nintendo on the front with the little door that popped up and you put the cartridge in here, and it would say classically trained, right? So classically trained, what does that mean? Well, maybe early video games exhibit a quality of classicism, right? Early video games are defined by a frame. The characters very rarely leave that frame, and all the action takes place within here. And the conception of the frame, right, in classic painting or classic video games is that the frame is a border through which the happenings inside are separated from the world outside, which means that we suspend disbelief and participate in the illusion taking place within the frame. It's a cordoned off kind of section of reality. The Baroque is different. Think of Baroque video games or video games of today. The frame is permeable. The goal in video games is really to blur the line of illusion. The video game is a continuous, you're VR, you're in the game, or the controller shakes and has a kinetic or a haptic function that immerses you in the game. So you could look at it that way, right? You don't have to just look at comics, but there could be a different quality of immersion that the Baroque may involve that the classical may not.
As a video creator, our biggest enemy is time, and something that takes up a lot of time is color grading.
And editing, just in
Right?
general.
That's usually focused around
Like,
the
God forbid I
spectacular,
edit this,
the
right?
detail, the ornate. Sometimes you could think like the Baroque is all of the rules of the classical, but hyper accelerated. So, right, that's just another way to think about how I'm setting up the
Okay.
historical frame, and then ways that you could shift it or move it.
So, if I'm understanding this correctly, like classical is sort of like if you were to create the curriculum, and then Baroque is like, hey, take the curriculum and then exaggerate its meaning and its, you know, intricacies or lack thereof. So if there's like, this is how you would classically organize, you know, the face structure, whatever the case. A Baroque perspective is, okay, it starts from this classical understanding, but the eyes are typically bigger to, you know, replicate the figure of like a cat or something to create cuteness or whatnot. And that's kind of how you get like anime style. So the anime style is sort of like a Baroque interpretation upon creature and a hybrid between like creature and human studies, I guess, if you will. That's at least how I'm interpreting how he's using Baroque in this sense. So y'all let me know in chat if y'all think that's kind of what he's on. If not, let me know what you think.
If we look at the basic breakdown in terms of, let's start with this one. So how would we appreciate this, right? So ways to appreciate it would be, it's cool. I think a lot of what's going on here is really dynamic from the standpoint.
I will say what I love about this piece, and yes, it's because I'm a dude, normal horny dude. But I think he really nailed this shape here. Like, yes, it's not like bodacious per se, but I feel like the arc in the leg, like this action with the hatching, hot. Nailed this. Top half, a bit more muscular, which I enjoy. Here, you got some Ichiro Oda, like, just... This is obviously where the stylistic nature is coming through, and I don't know who Homegirl is right here, I'm telling you right now, whoever homegirl is right here, please, internet, do the work. Figure out whatever this is, because I'm not. A ting, man. Anyway.
Point
Let the
of
nigga talk.
comments.
Let the nigga talk.
The first thing that you can notice is that the body is heavily distorted. We're not going to be able to do our 7.5 to 8 heads tall. We're not going to be able to do our thirds between heads 2 and 3 and 3 and 4 to set up where the rib cage is going. All that's gone, right? That's a good foundation. It's really important to know that. But this artist is making different decisions, and so in the most generous of spirits, I want to learn what those decisions are about. Rib cage is here. So I could see the thoracic arch or like a representation of it here. And so this would be the rib cage. I'm gonna leave the giant breasts off, right? So of course that's what we see, that the breasts are probably half as big as the rib cage.
Quite
That's
literally.
a stylistic choice, of course, but we're gonna suspend criticism. But part of this is just the visual language that comics traffics in too, right? Every woman in comics is more than likely in this pose this time. There's lots of sites that kind of break down the differences or the inappropriate positions. Like I'm thinking specifically of the blog, Less Tits and Ass, More Kickin' Ass. And that's a great blog for kind of breaking down
goodness.
the inappropriate depiction of women in comics, right? And how to make those poses that are hyper exaggerated feel
more tits and ass, please.
natural. So this is trafficking in that convention. There's a convention of how, people, men, women are depicted. And so in this we have maybe the impossible position, would be impossible anatomically, to turn the rib cage, not impossible, but getting there, 3/4 front, and then to also see the pelvis 3/4 back. So that's quite a spin, or that's quite a twist, let's say.
It really is.
So in this, if we break that down from the standpoint of what the body is doing, how do we use maybe some of those tools of construction to think about the body and its position. The rib cage is going this way, so waist, and then that turns, so that's twisting, and then we get the pelvis at the side, and then we also see the pelvis at the back. So, uncomfortable.
Producers, this plugin helps you finish your tracks way faster. Check this out. I'm going to start with this loop that I made here.
You're not going to help me do nothing.
Let's give everybody the benefit of the
lucky.
doubt,
I'm lucky.
right? Let's say everybody did what they did on purpose instead of just trying to bash everybody for making mistakes. It's just I think it's a more interesting way to participate in the arts broadly, right? Why is that being made? Why do they make that decision? Well, it's a convention in comics one, right? So in comics, we see this all the time. So to come in and do like a classical proportioned figure, right, during the 90s or during Liefeld's run on this book particularly, wouldn't make sense. It doesn't fit with, let's say, the overall convention of the time. Just like if you were a Rubens, it would be bizarre to be alive in the classical and try to make your large and ornate kind of knotted compositions of people interacting. So there's that, right? There's that one. The other thing is, this isn't unrelated to an entire kind of canon of the way that people are depicted as beautiful. If we just took the frame of American illustration, but you could largely apply this to a lot of ages. Take, for example, Charles Dana Gibson, who's one of the earliest American illustrators and the inventor of the Gibson girl. It wasn't uncommon.
Whoa. I kind of want to... Budge. Hold up. Does this guy still... So I'm so curious, like... Okay. Okay. I know y'all like, Natty, what are you doing, dude? I am locked in right now because this image just inspired the living crap out of me to just draw, dude. Not gonna lie, it's just kind of carved that needle in me, if you will. Gonna put a little mole there. Just gonna draw some hair, a little kind of. Okay, just getting a little bit more texture there. Okay, so y'all see the screen right now. I did my interpretation of the side view. Hold on, I don't even know what that looks like. Would that even does that have good enough lighting? I don't know if it has good enough lighting. I hope you can kind of see it. I hope it's zoomed in. But that was my quick sketch of just what I saw here, which, if anything, I'd probably want to add just a little bit of the cheekbone sort of right there. But yeah, super cute. Super adorbs. Face a little bit longer. Definitely could have been more of a slant. I like it though. I like it. There's still some level of like understanding of form, if you will. All right.
For American illustrators to define a type, both male and female, and then be recognized widely for that type as giving rise to a new canon of beauty. But these depictions of beauty are also largely based on social convention, class, but a real common element, without going too deep into it, is hyper-attenuated waists, small feet, small hands, and there could be different reasons for this. Any way that you want to slice it or look at this, right? You could bring a different perspective. But the major critic of this, or theorist of this artist at this time, is Thorsten Veblen. And he talks about how the reason that this was defined or found to be beautiful was because it signs for conspicuous waist, which means that in the highest classes in their convention of dress, what they were signaling was their degree of wealth by the way they dressed. So to have an attenuated waist, to have very small feet, was a sign of the absence of labor, right? To wear a corset, which would be required, or a bustle, a crinoline, which would be kind of made from whalebone, right? These were signs of the absence of labor.
A crinoline? Nigga, what, that sounds like freaking a strain of weed. Crinoline? A crinoline. Okay, so that's like the thing for the dress, like the bottom part of the dress. A crinoline is a stiff structural petticoat designed to hold out a skirt, popular at various times since the mid-19th century. Okay, I'm going to pull out my notes. Drawing, fantasy, fashion, references. A crinoline, which is Just going to copy this first paragraph. Boom. Awesome. So I'm just going to put 1. And we're going to make that bold with underlined and italics. All right, so the crinoline is our first drawing fantasy fashion reference, because I feel like that's something from a century, which, let's see, the style gallery. It's a lot of different styles from the 1850s. Yeah, we're going to use the 1850s. I feel comfortable. I bet y'all like, dude, what are you doing right now? 1850s, crinoline? Why does this even matter? It will matter whenever I finish my creative work. But until then, just know I need to be... I'm trying to expand my personal visual and stylistic library. So... because of that, I am keeping all of this info here. Got a lot of women's fashion. You got a lot of men's fashion. Very interesting stuff here, because you got timelines of clothing effect, the prehistory of nakedness in clothing. Gotta love that. China, Egyptian, Inuit, Biblical, Greek, Roman, Thracian refers to types of clothes worn mainly by Thracians, Dacians, but also some Greeks. Its best literal descriptions are given by Herodotus and Xenophon in his Anabasis. Depictions are found in the great numbers of Greek vases, and there are a few Persian. Okay. Then you go to the Middle Ages, and then from the Middle Ages you have the 1500s, and then you kind of go from the 1500s all the way into the 1800s, really. And from the 1800s you got the 1900s, the 1960s, the 1990s, 2000s, and then the impact of COVID-19 and by clothing. Hey. Hey. Come on now. Don't let me click it. It'll be dangerous. Not live. Not on stream. Anyway.
And if you didn't labor, you weren't working, you had wealth and you had leisure time. To have a waist that's narrow as a standard or depiction of beauty, or small feet, right, or a broader waist, isn't outside the pale. Is the connotation for what women are supposed to look like due to this, due to men's depiction, right, and kind of categorization and stereotyping of women, is that appropriate? Definitely not, right? So I'm not making an argument for women needing to look like this. What I'm trying to do is offer a more generous take on something that I see to be highly criticized all the time.
Here's how I got my team to use Monday Sales CRM and actually like it.
Never, brother. All right.
Without much productive conversation going on. So I do see both sides of it though. So that's just one way to frame this. So the basic idea is, or what I'm proposing is, this isn't so aberrant that we would not be able to find any other type of stereotyping that would feel or resonate with what's already been done here. That's one way we could look at the whole, maybe we now appreciate a trajectory of illustration differently. And with that appreciation, we could be more critical, right? We could say that we could look for different models throughout American history for how women were depicted, right? Outside of maybe more of the mainstream, or we can make corrections. I mean, there's lots of things to focus on here that to kind of nitpick how muscles transition and create flow, right? But again, I'm going in trying to make more of a purposeful celebration in terms of turning down the criticality. So what would we also say? Let's say that going back to this, let's say that's what was in mind here, is that there's a convention around comics that is a long enduring stereotype that exists in popular entertainment and culture dating back to the early 1900s, something like that. So what has been done to our rigid 8-head figure? So if we kind of think about that rigid overall, proportioned 8-head figure with the halfway at the pelvis, legs half, upper torso half, so on and so forth. Well, I think one way to have fun with this is, instead of insisting that this always needs to be correct all the time, to think about instead what's been done and what did it give me. So it's no longer half-half, right? And so maybe we look at that over here. It's no longer, right, if my general proportional chart would be 8 heads and then some kind of balance between structure or bone and anatomy, hard versus soft. This seems to remove all of the hard surface. So now let's say in this conception of a figure, we're at a deficit for hard surface, and in its place, I'm only seeing curve, right? It doesn't feel to me like there's much skeleton here, in other words. I'd say like the hardest line I see would be the jaw. And I think that's actually kind of interesting, right? Like this
honestly,
is the hardest angle that,
I will
or
say,
maybe like the chin. But everything else that I see when it comes to anatomy, the development of contour, rhythm on top of this,
even the
it's
muscles,
almost as if somebody
very
just
bulbous and
sucked
round.
all the hard surface out and left us just with rhythm, curve, right? So now what do we do with that? That's just the classic character archetype for the feminine design. Go back and look at the Disney lineup, right? For the different archetypes: hero, heroine, brute, sidekicks, villain, right? So we're kind of dealing with this, but in an extreme way. It's not the Disney princess. It's this logic, but pushed, accelerated. If think of these things in a more objective way, what do I know? Right? How can I use my classical information? How can I use the training that we develop? With that as a lens, look at what's there and what isn't. This has been left out, this has been celebrated, and then this has been skewed. So we've probably moved we've made this a little bit shorter, right? So let's look at it here. Pelvis to head. So let's say top of skull is here. In a proportioned figure, we'd want the foot to be here, right? Because this should be the halfway. So this should meet there. So that should be foot.
First of all, I just want you to know how skilled this man is to just even have that intuitive feeling to know that's about the same distance. Now, I'm not going to lie, I think all of us can look at that figure and be like, the legs are drastically long compared to the torso. But even then, just to just have the confidence to do that, and it does feel right and accurate, got to give props to him.
So what does it mean to exaggerate the lower half of the figure? Well, maybe to increase the height, we have a more, let's say, any number of qualities. Maybe it makes it more powerful, and that puts it in the category of the superhero or heroine in this case. Maybe by extending the lower legs, or I'm sorry, the legs upper and lower, we're increasing a degree of elegance because it's accentuating the degree to which curve continues, right, and moves in that direction. Or if we looked at, the new proportion after move down, it still keeps the big broad ones, like the knee is still halfway. I think even some of the costume, the hair, if we start to look at these qualities, participates in that highly active rhythmic structure.
Yeah.
The flow down
I will say that
so
I do see that flow. I definitely do see that flow kind of where he's talking about, where it's like the hair is kind of guiding you here to this hip part, and then because of how the kind of torso area just kind of curves inwards with where the pelvis region is, and then you see that little hip, little big old booty part, then gives you that kind of other movement, and then they all kind of bring you down to these little fuzzy furry dudes, all that party. So it's just, I see the motion. I see what he's talking about.
Generous things, right? Or ways to praise what I see, ways to be the most generous, not for someone else, right? I don't care about someone else's feelings or insulting another artist. I mean, I think that's important, right? But it's for me. But how can I take away what's being done so that maybe I could use it for myself? I think that's the best outcome for an exercise like this, is to see this convention with meaning, or to see a historical convention that could give me context, or to understand how my proportion chart might be malleable and produce different effects that I might want by way of just celebrating one thing at the expense of something else. But you can also be critical, like what isn't working. I don't love the design around the knees because it isn't clear ultimately where the knee is.
I see
and I
that.
think what doesn't work there for me is that, and so this is something that we can maybe be sympathetic to, like learning the knee sucks. The areas of transition in the body are always the hardest. So one thing I might try to avoid is too much symmetry through here, right? That's something that maybe you heard me say in a class or another teacher. And so, yeah, that feels a little awkward, right? Maybe I can look at that and say, there's a lot about this I like, but that is a harder sell. I feel like we lose anatomical rhythm, and this is something that's all about defining elegance, curve, right? It's about really pushing the degree to which I experience that in this new register of comics where everything is amped up. Masculinity, femininity, sex, right? Because of, one thing we left out, who is the audience? Who are we selling these to? Audience always matters.
Fair. That's
is
fair.
Is this a pop art audience? Is this a fine art audience? Is this a mass audience, et cetera, et cetera? Who is consuming it? That might be a little off. Proportion, we said, I gave the excuse or the pass here that it was purposeful. It's not uncommon to see small head, small hands, small feet. So I might put that in this bucket. That's a convention of beauty for this genre specifically.
I built my dream life, but I used AI to help me get there. Try Motion. It's a personal assistant.
Which is what we're
Good
looking
or
at.
bad, I'm taking that out. I'm taking value judgments out.
I will say though, the ads definitely did not
study
help. I mean, they did, but
areas.
like I've seen them
so
20 plus
put that
times.
in
So
this category here. The
it's more so
intersection
by
of the knee
necessity
to me
these
looks
days
to be a little
that I'm looking
bit
at motion.
too rigid, and I think the shoulder or the neck. Intersections are hard. So in that same knee, which I put the arrows by, maybe I do some extra studies here just to figure out, my own work, because there's so much here that I like, but I want to make sure that keep those, like maybe that sartorius line could come more.
Yeah.
I think is that one. Across,
yeah, that little
and
muscle.
then around and loop me to that.
I remember that from Anatomy Physiology. Let's go.
Women is that, or drawing women in this kind of stylized way, is that more information usually makes it feel a little less appealing. So there's a balance, a difficult balance here between the brevity of description and keeping that style, and then trying to kind of push some of the more anatomical qualities that you may want. So maybe I would go for something like this instead, and at least that keeps me with, some broader asymmetries, and then some transition, like I'm pulling out maybe the fat to soften the top of the knee, but there might be a patella in here. This is my ligament. This is the sartorius coming down and then sneaking that calf up and behind the hamstring.
Yeah.
Or maybe I do the same thing for the shoulder. Do the same thing. How can I figure out that transition? This arm right now, if we were to break this one down a little bit more, feels a little bit too forward and kind of almost in front of the rib cage. So I bet if we just found a few overlaps here, we kind of set that back and give it more of that equal plane across the clavicle. And
I see that. I see that.
Better or not,
because it's a bit more facing front.
I guess this feels a little out of place. So maybe we think might look for something in terms of costume design where it's not as heavy a shape at the bottom. So I think the goal of this is that not everything needs to have the same lens applied to it. We know that the rib cage is challenged, right? If we were to put in a skeleton, that maybe the waist wouldn't support a digestive tract, or maybe the feet are too small. Fine. Got it, right? Now let's move on. What else could be a part of that conversation? These types of studies are ways that I like to try to embrace that. And you move beyond just the slamming and into something that might ultimately be more productive or useful for me. So hopefully you found it interesting.
Hopefully. It was madly interesting, my guy. Very useful information, very practical. And all in all, great time. Now, you see a guitar in my hand, but I'm not going to be practicing guitar with y'all tonight. Today, we're going to end off on that reaction to that video, which I think is awesome. And in fact, homie got a subscription from me. Just subscribed. Really dope. We love educational stuff like that. Just really cool things that showing his technicality, his understanding of art and of the fundamentals, and educating us a little bit. Because of that, we now figured out crinolines are a big part of 1500 or the 1800s fashion, and it's going to be something we're adding into our visual library as part of our aesthetic, our stylistic studies, if you will. So I can't wait to get into that at some point. I definitely have some plans for how I plan to sort of get some characters made for that, and some fun stories. Let's see, but in the meantime now, I'm probably gonna lock in on, I probably won't get 4 episodes done. I'll probably be able to get 2 episodes done. I help here in a bit for Claire Obscure Expedition 33, but that's the plan. I'm gonna knock those out really quick. Knock some Let's Play episodes for that off stream, of course, because that's been the vibe. I love the freedom and the comfort to sort of not perform as much. Granted, I still am performing because, let's be honest, it's a Let's Play. I got to keep the conversation going. It's kind of, Expedition 33 is kind of one of those games to where, I mean, I enjoy the gameplay so much I could just get caught up in it and just be doing it, but there's a really fun story. There's a lot of cool stuff happening, and where I am in the current Let's Play right now, because as y'all are watching this, I haven't recorded episode 9 yet. So this piece of content in relativity to the Let's Play is in that part of the timeline. So you do the math. But last I checked, we were about to actually enter the tournament, if I'm not mistaken. We got done exploring the whole entire Gestural Village, which, if y'all know, there's a lot to the Gestural Village, and there's some stuff that I feel like I didn't do it on my main Let's Play, so I'm definitely going to do it on this Let's Play, in terms of like side quests and whatnot. So I'm definitely going to try and be more mindful of that this time around. And luckily, since I kind of know where most of the stuff is, at least in this portion of the game, because I believe we're about to go meet Eskia, which, for those who don't know who Eskia is, my favorite character. He is my favorite character in Expedition 33. Such a good character. Such fun. So fun. Outside of like the waifus, fave. Fortunate that he's not playable in his manner of speaking, but nevertheless. But yeah, so I'm going to be getting on to recording the Let's Play episodes here. But I want to be sending y'all off in the meantime. The goal is more than likely to stream again this upcoming Thursday. So up until Thursday, I'm going to be locked in on recording, those Let's Play episodes, figuring out this Notion or Motion workflow, and getting that Excel sheet done amongst, getting the loops, which we're going to handle that in the morning, so not too tripping on that. And, I mean, it's going to be a lot of fun stuff just throughout the week that I'm going to be doing. And my hope in moving all of the stuff that we have kind of on the weekly pre-cap and recap videos to Motion or Notion. My goal is that having that AI workflow and automation will really help the boy be more organized and optimized. So we'll see how that goes. That's kind of one of those things to where I really got to pray and see where the money's coming in to make it make sense. But at the same time, too, I'm like, if we can really get it off the ground and going, I think that's going to be the kicker. But yeah, that's kind of it. That's all I got for y'all. So it's your boy Thanya Bear, aka Natty, aka that nigga. Please, if you liked what y'all saw, like, comment, subscribe, let me know. Hit the notification bell to be notified of new videos coming your way in the future. And also go follow my second channel, Thanya Bear Plays, where I put a lot of the streams that are just like this, unedited, so you can see me stumbling and repeating lines over again and being extremely fake for your enjoyment. But nevertheless, I love y'all. Be breezy. Please have a great time. Peace.